Hello, Christian Moon speaking.
I'm sorry, can I catch your name again? My name's David.
My name's Christian.
Hi, Christian, how are you?
I'm fine. What do you want?
What do I want? I can see an awful lot of people around me, Christian, struggling to make ends meet on the basis of what we perceive, that's ordinary people and grassroots organisations across this country and many others, of an entirely fraudulent economic system.
Right.
It's impossible to repay these debts. They should be forgiven. We shouldn't be dictated to by the International Monetary Fund. The number of inverted science subjects that we're facing in this country. I mean, imagine, if you will, inheriting a kingdom, waking up one morning and looking out across the realm and finding that the greatest strain on the public purse is the National Health Service. There seem to be so many people sick. Don't there?
Sorry, I'm not quite sure what the point you're making is.
Well, I want to know what this instrument of government is thinking it's doing. I can see people getting sick around me. I can see the food becoming progressively contaminated. We've now had finally admitted by the BBC that geoengineering is being implemented on the basis of carbon dioxide. Another fraud. Now, I'll ask you a question.
Right.
If I were to come up to you as a complete stranger and say to you that you must pay for something, whether you want it or not, using intimidation and coercion, is that morally correct?
Well, I suppose you could say that's what taxation is.
Exactly. But the public decides collectively what government they want. It can only
choose taxation.
It can only do so if it gets accurate, unbiased information, and we know it's not getting that across so many fronts. I have 7 children.
Right.
3 of them have been damaged by vaccines. And I'm not kidding. We're told that certain diseases can't be cured, can't be healed, and yet they can.
Right. Which diseases do you have in mind?
Well, let's start off with the big one, cancer.
Right.
Do you want me to introduce you to people who've been made better through using ancient remedies?
Oh, look, I really haven't got time to have a debate about...
No, I know, but my point is this.
Yeah.
You and I can both see people struggling. Poverty causes disease, and that causes death. I lost 2 friends of mine a few years ago. They committed suicide because they couldn't find a way through this. The H-Bostle whistleblower has come out and said, yeah, banks kill. We're in a lot of trouble in this country. The ordinary people don't get the true information as to what's going on. We can't communicate with officials in government departments who are making decisions behind closed doors based upon inverted science. I even had a professor at the University of Manchester Atmospheric Research Centre telling me that carbon dioxide was a bloody pollutant. I'm a gardener and a horticulturalist and an ecologist. It's rubbish. How are we going to turn this around? Because I don't like what I see. I hear on the 30th of August in 2005, minuted in the House of Lords, that it seems a coup d'etat has occurred.
A coup d'etat?
Yeah, where the military and the police and security services are now serving a political agenda, not defending the realm. Well, police are no longer approachable. I've had stuff stolen by the state. When you say taxation, how much taxation? I did a calculation a week or 2 ago. Somebody earning £20,000, the money that's deducted at source, and the money that's deducted or added to every single transaction means that they get between £1,500 and £2,000 of real services or equitable goods. That's slavery.
No, I'm sorry, I do not accept that taxation equals slavery.
Well, I'm sorry,
I don't accept that this country is a police state either.
Well, any time that somebody is forced to pay for something without a contract, a lawful contract, Okay, any time that something, that is coercion or even terrorism. Now, I had a car taken from me by 9 police officers. They're supposed to be peacekeepers. Why? Because colluding between the FSA, the Motor Insurance Bureau and the insurance sector, along with the police services, they introduced this constant enforcement policy, which meant that even though I paid for an insurance policy, they still had the legal power to remove my means of income, my livelihood. That's symptomatic of what's happening at the lower levels that maybe you don't see. And I don't mean you any disrespect. I have a large family. I've lost 2 brother-in-laws recently to the medicines, the chronic medications that seem to be profiting the pharmaceutical companies but not making people better. I've got one brother-in-law in Northern Ireland who's on 26 medications, and he's not getting better, he's getting worse, unsurprisingly, when you look at what's in them. What is going on? Are we going to be sucked into another war as well? Because that's what the drumming is all about. We've got a humanitarian crisis in Greece, and it's occurring here. In trace level, it's coming up. 5 million families dispossessed of their homes. I stood in front of a bailiff and 6 police officers trying to use reason with them. They're not supposed to work for the banks. And now my own home is under threat. Those police officers also very nearly took all of my tools of trade, because I do real work. Building. Providing food. And if I look at the job vacancies advertised in the likes of The Guardian, there's almost nothing there that's going to add anything to the wealth of the nation. The real wealth, the standard of living for people. All on the basis of this economic crisis, which involves the shortage of credit, a fictional substance. There's no difference in the physical resources before or after this crisis, is there? The city, the investors don't seem to know what the answer is. And now we hear the head of the IMF telling us we must impose more poverty. Like elsewhere, as though that's the solution, the same toxic medicine.
I think she was saying other things as well. I think she was also saying that she was suggesting that interest rates should be reduced and there'd be more quantitative easing. And
what the bloody hell is interest? If you know anything about economies, and I look at economies like I do businesses, as ecologies. If I take a bare piece of landscape, providing there's a prevailing wind and a bit of water, I leave that alone, in 100 years there'll be a forest. Now, the nature does that by trapping every single resource and recycling it within. And any business, its ability to function is based upon the enforced outputs. And that includes regulatory requirements. I've been running my own show for quite a few years, and I would happily start and do something really worthwhile right now, but I can't. We have all the technology at our disposal now to deal with energy without going to the big capital infrastructure that profits large corporations and doesn't really work. And there's loads of examples of it. We could reduce the fuel consumption of every car in this country for less than £400 per car by implementing electrolysis systems, HHO units, which are being deployed here by ordinary people. Or the GEAT system, which generates plasma, which means you can burn almost anything through an internal combustion engine using implosion, not explosion. And we have people doing it. So what is going on? And where is this going? Because people can't plan. People can't see ahead. And the only thing that we can see the instrument of government doing is looking to build capital infrastructure projects which might provide a few jobs in the short term, but if there's nowhere to go to work, what's the point? And I thought we were supposed to be being more local. And I've got farmer friends who now get sick and tired of government agencies turning up and telling them how to farm. The royal family consume raw milk. My family does too. I know its health benefits, but we're being told that the FSA is looking at the possibility of making it illegal, as they have in America.
I I'm not quite sure where you're getting with this. You seem to think there's some grand conspiracy against everyone.
When I look at the big picture, my friend,
Yeah.
and I look at the flow of people's time and energy and what it's going into, the notion that there isn't some kind of global conspiracy or global organisation involved in these things, well, it's the IMF. Who are they? Who are they? Who is the United Nations? Who is the Council on Foreign Relations? What is the Royal Institute of International Affairs?
The Royal Institute of International Affairs is a think tank paid for by the British Foreign Office.
Right, okay, and what are they recommending? Because we can see, that's Chatham House, that's the Astors. We know who these people are. They're not on our side, because if they were, things wouldn't be going down the toilet the way they are. And they are, aren't they?
Well, I'm not sure. I think you're overstating the power and influence of Chatham House.
Well, last year I made a phone call into Demos, which is part of it. Spoke to a young man who was talking about conspiracy theories,
yeah,
radicalisation, and counter-terrorism, all in the same phrase. And I interviewed him. And he was trying to make out that this was, it was just an innocent thing. It's not. It's very dangerous. We have 3 people, one of whom has been put into prison for providing evidence back into the courts which is available on the public domain and the mainstream media relating to the bombings in London. And I won't even go there with New York. I was studying those buildings at the time that happened. We're being lied to. Across the board. And somebody, somewhere, has to do something about it. I phone and try and use reason and a return to law. Not the system of statutes, law. Lawfulness. Honesty, courtesy, don't defraud or entrap, don't cause harm or loss. My God, this government's got a lot to answer for. Or the system that's controlling it. And what have we got with dodds.co.uk? A banking-founded communication system that controls the civil service communications.
Sir, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. I'm absolutely struggling to keep up with... Yeah,
it's a bit of... I apologise, it's a bit of a tirade. But, there are very few people that those of us that know what's going on can speak to. And whenever we do open our mouths, we get threatened. That's not good. We need your help in this country. Everybody. It doesn't matter what party politics you're a member of. Those things are just divisions. It's down to each of us, every single one of us, to take responsibility for this and to turn it before it's too late. Because it is going in the wrong direction, isn't it? Don't you think?
Well, I think there are a lot of problems in the world that are difficult to deal with.
Well, okay, name one. Name one. The economy, it can be resolved overnight with a flick of a flipping switch. I phoned into the Bank of England last year, and I had an officer there admit that the money they're creating that we are supposed to pay with our sweat equity was created out of fresh air. Isn't the epitome of insanity? I don't know what is. Now, come on.
I'm really not sure that I can help you with any of this. You've raised a range of issues.
I do.
Which sort of involve the idea that there's some kind of global conspiracy against everyone.
Listen, people conspire.
I can't honestly really deal with.
People conspire behind closed doors. How many committees are there these days that are charities and stakeholder groups? Where's the public voice? I've got a local authority and a district authority down here doing some very strange things with children. Go to UK Column. Brian Gerrish has been exposing this for a long time. Now, listen, my friend, we don't know each other, you and I, but I can see people struggling, and I can see possibly why. And when you say it's all very complicated, it's not. It's simple. People on the street seem to know more than the politicians do. They're debating on BBC now about austerity measures without actually addressing the causative factor. And that is that given that you allow usury to exist at all, it will always lead to tyranny. And the reason is simple. If I lend you 10 marbles and want 12 back, you can't pay me back. You have to borrow more. And that's how it's been done. But the children aren't taught that in the school, and I wasn't. I had to find out the hard way, having been mauled by the system twice before, and having worked hard to improve the property that my family live in, only to have some idiot at a bank say, we're going to come along and take it away because it's ours. It's not. The people in the instrument of government, each and every one of us is responsible for what's happening to the people around us. It's not an I'm all right, Jack situation anymore. Is it? It can't be.
I'm really sorry, sir, but I've listened to you patiently for about 17 minutes, and I just don't understand how I can help you.
Right, well, so I'm phoning the Liberal Democrat headquarters.
Yes.
And I'm underlining these concerns, which are widespread, lots of people know about them, and you're sitting there telling me that you can't do anything.
Well, you've highlighted a number of issues which are real problems, about debt, about state of the economy, about drug policy. All of these things are difficult issues.
Why are they difficult issues?
And they're all things that
they're only
this party and the to address. But you seem to think it's somehow threaded together into some vast conspiracy, which I don't recognise and really couldn't do anything about, even if I wanted to. Well,
the point is that we can all do something about it. And we all should do something about it. When you say these things are complicated, it's not complicated. A substance in terms of medicines is either good for people or it's not. It's either allopathic or it's healing, one or the other. If medicines now...
I'm sorry, that's obviously not true.
Well, you show me an example, because
for example, if you take aspirin, that is good for thinning the blood, which might be beneficial for you, but at the same time, it would not be good if you had stomach ulcer.
Why would you need to thin your blood? If you're eating healthily, wholesome, naturally presenting foods, like the rich people do, you don't get those problems. And aspirin in its refined form comes from the salix species, the willow, whose bark used to be used just as a tea, not in a refined substance. It's like white sugar compared to molasses. Molasses is rich in minerals, white sugar is positively poisonous.
Right.
So these things are
really not debating whether white sugar is poisonous. I'm sorry, sir.
No, I know.
I'm going to have to bring this conversation to an end.
Who can I speak to, please?
Well, you've spoken to me for 18 minutes.
Well, you've told me you can't help. So who can I speak to that will help?
Well, I'm not sure that there's anyone you can speak to who can help you, to be quite honest.
So we're going to be subjected to tyranny in this country, and people have got to take the law into their own hands and prepare to defend their homes against the state and the banking system. Is that what you're suggesting?
I seriously suggest you not to take the law into your own hands.
Well, I'm sorry, but the law at the moment is... The law is not serving people. We have a corrupt judicial system. It's rubber-stamping people's lives.
I honestly don't think there's anything I can do to help you, sir, and I think I'm going to have to leave it.
Well, you better put me in touch with somebody who can then, please, because you're a public servant, sir. And I demand that now.
I'm not a public servant, actually. I'm an employee of a political party. So
a political party paid for out of the public purse, sir.
Well,
a political party paid for out of the public purse.
I don't think that the Liberal Democrats are a party that can really help you with the range of issues you've raised.
I'm sorry, I thought they were part of the coalition government, for goodness sakes. What are you saying? What are you saying?
What I'm saying is, I honestly, there is no way the Liberal Democrats are going to engage with the kind of issues you've been talking about in the way you've been talking about them.
Well, I'll happily sit down very calmly, and I'll happily sit...
A very different place from where we are on all these issues.
Absolutely. So let's look at these issues in detail. Present me to somebody, and let's look at these things in detail. You want to just run away, don't you? That's what you want to do. You just want to run away and hope this man goes away. Because what you've admitted, sir, is that despite the fact that you're one of the coalition parties actually controlling this country, you can do nothing. You can do nothing to stop these things, and you can't even open a gateway or a doorway to enable those of us that know what's going on to have reasoned dialogue with the people who are making decisions.
I really doubt the possibility of reasoned dialogue with you.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm not going to.
My friend, if you come along to TNS Radio, you'll hear any number of very good, enlightening conversations relating to what people's living experience is right now, and how we can solve these problems. You're not helping, obviously. You don't want to help.
In your view, not.
Well, sir, you show me. Okay, you tell me what it is that.
You can't attribute motives to me.
What you tell me what people in this country should expect over the next 3 to 6 months in terms of the economy, in terms of their livelihoods, in terms of food, in terms of health. Tell me what they should expect. You're the people that are doing these things. You know what's going on, don't you?
I have no idea what's going on in terms of people's food in the next 3 months.
Well, let me speak to somebody who can, because I'm being asked by the banking system to put proposals together to prevent them from sending strangers to my door with threats and menaces. Now, I'm not a magician. I can't conjure. In fact, if I was to go and print money, which is exactly what's being done, and hand it to these people, well, it wouldn't work, would it? Now, it's really simple, and I don't mean any disrespect. I know I sound agitated because frustration in this is I've been trying to speak to people for years in government departments, but you can never get hold of anybody. They're always in meetings. And it's not because I'm unreasonable. I know my sciences. I've been doing it for too long. And if you want, you can actually see what I've been building. Go onto YouTube and look at Pondman 1, the number 1 at the end of it. One word.
Pondman 1. Yeah,
have a look there. Come and listen at TNS Radio. Come in to the conversation.
Look, so I will look at Pondman 1, but I'm a busy man.
Christian,
so I'm gonna have to get on.
Christian, can you please tell me how it is that the People's Voice, from the People's Public Trust, the People's United Community, how it is that we can actually prevent it from going darker, where people are going to start rebelling physically, as occurred last year?
Because there are many, many avenues of freedom of expression, freedom of political organisation in this country, which people can use if they want to.
No, it's not about expressing these things. It's actually about implementing positive change for positive life. It's about improving people's condition.
There are a range.
Not just another soapbox.
There are a range of non-governmental organisations and other things which do that.
Do you know how many of those I've spoken to? I went to one the other day called the Debt Advisory Service, the National Debt Advisory Service. Do you know who owns it and controls it?
I'm sorry, look, every time we move on to this, there's a new conspiracy, and I just can't.
It's not conspiracy, it's what is. These are facts.
I'm going to have to terminate the conversation now.
Christian, that's disgusting.